So good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Vincent Arroyo. I am a program manager with the California School Age Consortium, or CalSAC. And today we're going to talk about the CalSAC training network and our training of trainers that are coming up in November. Before we get started, we wanted to do a quick roll call just to see who's in the room. So in the chat, if everyone could share their name and pronouns, the organization that you all work for, the city and county you either live or work in, and then what region of the state you represent. I'll share mine out loud. So again, Vincent Arroyo, he, him pronouns. I work for the California School Age Consortium. I was born and raised in San Francisco, where I still reside, and I represent Region 4. Um, so if y'all can share that in the chat, just so we can see who's in the room with us. Um, Hi, Melissa. But we'll go ahead and continue on. Thank you all for sharing. So during this webinar, our objectives are that you all will gain a better understanding of the CalSAC Trainer Network. You'll understand the application requirements and the timeline. We'll review the components of the trainer certification process, and then learn what to expect not only during the 3-day trainer of training intensive, but also during the certification process as well. So we'll achieve that through these agenda items. So we're going to do an overview of CalSAC and the trainer network. I'll give you kind of a snapshot of the certification process. And then we'll talk through the application, so the requirements and fees, as well as, again, the 3-day intensive and certification process. And then throughout, I'll kind of check for questions, and then we'll have time at the end if there's any additional questions as well. So to give an overview of CalSAC, again, or the California School Age Consortium, so we have a vision where we're building a future where every child in California, regardless of race, income, or zip code, has access to high quality out-of-school time programs. And so we do this work through 3 different facets, the first of which is training, which I will talk to in a moment. But the other 2 are through leadership and advocacy. So CalSAC has a number of different leadership opportunities for the field. Some are 3-day retreats, others are year-long fellowships. And then for advocacy, we provide advocacy programming on a state and local level that all culminates into a large event that we hold in March, where we go to Sacramento to advocate for the field. So a little bit more about training in our trainer network. So we provide professional development and training services for the out-of-school time field in California. We provide timely trainings that are relevant to the out-of-school time field on various topics from youth development to social emotional learning and even to leadership and management modules. We're also building the training and facilitation skills of leaders in the field. So this is kind of where our training of trainers and our certification process comes in. And we are one of the largest, or we are the largest network of out-of-school time professionals in the nation. And it's crazy to think that all of this started just less than 30 years ago in 1998. And over the course of the years, we've been able to expand and build, and through partners and through funding sources, we've been able to grow our curriculum base to about 85 different modules. So through participating in the trainer network, trainers will, again, continue to develop their trainings or their skills in facilitation. They'll gain access to over 85 curriculum modules that you can implement either within your organization or community programs. You'll be able to connect with other professionals within our network, and then gain access to ongoing professional development opportunities as a certified trainer. So that might look like being a project leader on our training of trainers or on module revisions, to mentoring new apprentice trainers, and even some specialized conference training modules as well. Is there any questions about CalSAC or the trainer network that I can answer now? Great. And if anything pops up and if you want to throw it in the chat, I have it off to the side. So when I pause for questions, I'll glance over to see if there's any questions. And then at the end, there'll also be time for more questions as well. So if there's no other questions, we'll move on to the certification process. So I will walk through this full graph during this webinar, but it's just nice to see like a snapshot off the top. So this is what the certification process looks like. So we're currently in the pre-certification step where applications are open, and they will be available until September 20th. And then once they are closed, we will notify those that have been accepted. And then from there, folks that are accepted will attend an orientation, the 3-day intensive in Oakland in the first week of November. And then from there, they'll start their certification process. So that looks like delivering trainings to the field, meeting with mentors, meeting with your cohort, and then getting to the certified trainer status within those 8 months. And that will then certified trainers are eligible for paid opportunities as well as the ongoing professional development as well. So a little bit more about the application. So we will be accepting 30 new professionals to join the trainer network this fall. And who we're looking for is basically the basic requirements are at least 2 years experience in the out of school time field at any level. So that could be folks who have been line staff for 2 years, running programs, in programs, to program directors and coordinators, to even upper management or folks that are tied to the field. We really look for a wide range of experiences and backgrounds because it just then adds a richer experience to our trainings and to our trainer network. Some additional highly desired qualifications are experience teaching adults in the OST field. So that could be leading a training, staff meetings, orientations. If you do a lot of onboarding, those things do count within that. At least 2 years experience in a leadership role, experience with or an interest in mental health and wellness for youth and adults, and experience facilitating around restorative practice and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, these are desired qualifications because, again, we're really looking for a wide range of folks who can come in and lead these trainings for CalSAC and be a representation of CalSAC as well and of the field. So this is this is a little bit of a breakdown of the application itself. So the first 2 sections are just around general, information about the applicant, information about you. These are things that kind of give us a full picture of the person, and we don't necessarily disseminate any of that information. The next 3 sections are require more of a longer answers. But the first section is around applicant interest. So we're really hoping to hear from you, like how you would benefit from being in the trainer network. How would your community benefit? How would your agency benefit? And then the next section is around facilitation experience. So we're just looking to see, what session, if you've led sessions, what are the content that you've led on. And then the last part is around participation and contribution. So, really thinking through how you can get through this certification process, and who are some folks and some resources that you can rely on to get to that end point. Like I mentioned, the last 3 sections are more writing based. They're longer answer based. So there is a 150 word max. Please stick to 150 or less, because those of us that have to read them, 150 is still a lot, plus however many applications we'll read. So just be mindful of that. And it is best that you review the preview application first before starting the application within the system. Just because our system does not allow you to save and come back to your work. So it's best to review the preview doc that I just put in the chat. Review the questions, maybe write out your answers in another document, and then once you're ready, kind of copy them over into the system and then submit. So like I said, I have actually, that's the actual application. Let me get the preview doc. So you have the link to the application itself. Here's the link to the preview document. And both of those are available on our website as well. So a little bit more about the application and the registration fee. So the registration fee is $2,750. And this fee will go towards the 3-day intensive and any required materials for those 3 days, as well as meals and shared accommodations for the 3 days, as well as mentorship, observation, and certification support that'll happen between November and June of 2025. So again, that's that 8-month period post training of trainers. So the fee does not include any travel to the TOT or any subsequent training during the certification process. We've had applicants before that have their employer sponsor them, or part of it, or full of it, or the full amount. But in either scenario, there are payment plans that could be made available to folks who need to kind of spread out the costs. I will say that if fee is kind of an issue for you right now, you're a little worried about it, I would still suggest you apply. And then if you are accepted, kind of seeing, or in the in between, kind of seeing, can your employer cover it? What could that look like for you? And then once accepted, we can definitely work with you if there needs to be a payment plan that needs to be put in place. Any questions about the application, the sections?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
For like boarding, if we have to travel, let's say from LA up north,
Mhm.
do you have any do you help with any resources and like where to stay?
So yeah, so we'll cover the accommodations for folks who are coming from longer distance. We have a hotel block set for in Oakland that's about a couple minutes walk away from our meeting space. So if you're coming into town and you need accommodations, we'll take care of those for you. It's just the travel between home and Oakland and back that we don't cover.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks for asking. Any other questions? So now I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper of what the training of trainers are. So during the 3 days, participants will learn about CalSAC training competency framework and how to apply it to their facilitation practice. So CalSAC has a number of different training competencies that kind of fall within these 5 buckets. So that's around adult learning, training delivery, professionalism and ethics, equity and diversity, and then co-training. So during the 3 days, we will talk to these, we will share examples of them, facilitators will model that for the group, and then participants will also have an opportunity to try on some of these during the 3-day intensive before they go out and they do their hours in the field. Participants will also become more familiar with CalSAC training curriculum and our client center approach to training. We'll also equip apprentice trainers with curriculum, tools, and resources that'll then support them to support staff around mental health and wellness, youth development, behavioral guidance, and social emotional learning. And all while we're building community and network within, the larger cohort, but then also smaller regional cohorts as well. So post-training of trainers, during the certification process, apprentice trainers will deliver 16 hours of CalSAC training to the field. So this is an opportunity for our apprentice trainers to really get into the field and try on a lot of these things that they've learned through the training of trainers, while also honing in on certain skills. One of which is around co-training. So during certification hours, we suggest that apprentice trainers co-train whenever possible. One, to kind of work on that skill set that's a part of our competencies, but also so that you have additional support in the room, while training. The next part is around the cohort base. So apprentice trainers will be grouped in regional cohorts where you'll have a chance to kind of work with and learn from local trainers in the area. As well as you'll have a mentor who is a senior certified trainer with CalSAC help guide you and your group through this process. So the mentor will provide one-on-one support with a monthly check-in, providing resources. There will also be an in-person cohort meeting that'll happen with the mentor. And then the mentor will also then do an observation towards the end of the certification process, just to give feedback and then endorse that trainer for certification. Apprentice trainers will also have access to our training portal as a trainer. And that's where agencies will put in requests for trainings, and they'll be able to track their hours as well as get access to resources, CalSAC resources. An additional thing about the certification process is you also have support from CalSAC staff. So if there's anything from, getting a request in to questions about curriculum to even like, I have this dilemma around this training, I'm not sure what to do. CalSAC staff are also available to you during this process as well, and then after. Any questions about the training of trainers or the certification process? So here's a snapshot of the applicant timeline again. So applications are due by September 20th. We will notify applicants by the first week of October of their application status. And then for those that are accepted into the trainer network, they'll attend the webinar, the 3-day intensive in November in Oakland. And then from there, they're off and running to complete their certification over the course of 8 months. So the deadline would be early June of 2025. Is there any other questions? Anything bubbling up for folks?
One thing I'm noticing right now is on the application preview
Mhm.
for applicant interest and then the participation and contribution. For each question, it says 150 words max. Is that
Mhm.
correct? It's per each question, or is it per the entire section?
For each question.
Okay.
That would be
Thank you.
crazy. The whole app was just 150. It is 150 per question. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Heidi. Any other questions? Well, if there's nothing else, that's the end of our webinar. Here is my contact info. If you have any questions, you want to reach out with anything else. I also put it in the chat. But if there's nothing else, thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing your apps. Thanks all.
Thank you.